Okay, thanks, Luke, for jumping on today. How you doing, mate?
Good. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year. Recovering from that illness, but we won't go into the detail on this.
No, don't need to.
Yeah,
No.
we'll not do the preamble of illness. But yeah, thanks for taking the time today to have a chat about the process of us working together. I suppose just to set a bit of context, like what's who are you? What do you do? What's your
Yeah.
current situation?
Yeah. Sure. So yeah. So I we started working together when I run my own business with a team of five of us, looking after a financial advisor, looking after lots of clients, so lots of people interacting. Home life is I've got a wife and a 1 year old on lots of different fronts, lots of different moving parts, and generally in a state where I'm like spinning plates, like day to day is chaos most of the time. So trying to find time also for myself was very difficult. So that's like ultimately where when we started speaking, that's exactly the state I was, is like just day to day firefighting on all fronts, whether it be clients, whether it be business, whether it be the team, whether it be life, family, looking after my son Finn, which is probably the hardest job of all. But yeah, so just generally trying to have lots of different hats and lots of spinning plates all the time was finding it very hard to find any structure really.
Yeah. Oh, you forgot about Frankie, the dog, as well.
True. That's a. I wish I could do more of that. To be honest, that's the easiest bit and the most enjoyable bit, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of firefighting, a lot of plate
Mm.
spinning when we started it,
Yeah.
like the demands of running your own business plus the staff
Mm.
plus everything and almost like you were coming last and all of that, right?
Yeah. No, exactly that, and it's where the bit of time that I'd allocate to myself just generally never happened because there'd be a client query or a team, or Finn would be not very well, or I'd just be generally trying to help out with family life a bit more, and that naturally just squeezed the slot of time I had to go for a run or to go hockey training or go to a gym class just naturally went to zero, right? So you end up like just self-deprecating really, in terms of like you're not looking after yourself, which is then going to be ultimately not beneficial to the bigger picture anyway, and you're going to not be performing as a dad, as a husband, as a business owner, as a leader, as an advisor, like all those fronts. You're just getting gradually ground down to the level of performance is not there.
Yeah. So what's changed now? So we worked together for probably 6-ish months, wasn't it, overall?
Mm.
So probably 6 months. Like where are you at now with everything? What were the big wins across those three key areas, like work, family, and your health or your time?
Yeah, so I'd say first and foremost, it's that mindset of yeah, you are important too. Like when I say you and myself is
Yeah,
important,
yeah.
like actually giving some time for myself, whether it be, as you say, taking Frankie for a walk and just switching off complete is a really important part of my daily routine. But I think that kind of so mindset of actually you are important, you aren't bottom of the pile, even though sometimes that's naturally going to happen with busy family, young family, and running a business and growing a business. Like that's inevitable at sometimes, but you've got to consciously shift that mindset to go back to no, you do need time for your own, whether it be exercise, whether it be playing hockey, whether it be like actually going for a run or like doing stuff that is important for you or what you enjoy. So I think that was mindsets one, structure massively, like actually trying to be conscious and deliberate about how I plan my time and how I plan my day. I think that is really important. Generally looked at my week ahead, how I communicated that with Kate, my wife, what is coming up from a work perspective, where are my non-negotiables from that side, where am I helping with Finn, where do I want to help with Finn, and then how I slot in the other parts of what I want to do as well, and generally being a bit more forward looking rather than just reacting and firefighting, as I said, where it still does happen when kind of circumstances change, or yeah, the nursery calls up or whatever it is, all this sort of stuff that does happen. But it's just knowing you've got to get back into that routine, whatever routine that is flexible, because yeah, week to week of running a business and a young family is not going to be the same. But it's just consciously putting in those slots, whether it actually be a structured diary or whether it be a kind of hypothetical diary that you've got those things to do. It's kind of that accountability to myself, I'd say.
Mm. Instead of being reactive to the plate spinning, it's more deliberately proactive, right?
Yeah,
It's like trying to
exactly that.
control everything you can control.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly, there's certain parts where I think, obviously, in some of the conversations we've had, sometimes it's very hard when you're running a client-facing business, and yeah, they ultimately that's where you are servicing clients, and you are absorbing sometimes their stresses, strains, emotions, stuff going on in their lives that quite clearly can drift over into your own personal life, and how it impacts how you are acting with your family and friends. And I think what you helped me is like trying to create that divide. Some of that is outside of your control. Some of it you can control, right? What have you learned from this situation that can help you going forward with other clients? Or no, actually, that's something that's completely outside. You need to manage it because they're a client of yours, but that actually is something that you can't control, and it's not your fault, or it's just something you need to try and have that divide. Really, is what I'd say. It's like that line between control and uncontrollables.
And so with that mindset shift, like you talked about there, plus adding in the structure, plus being really deliberate with all of the actions that you're taking, like how are you feeling now in comparison to before?
I'd say it's more like composed is probably a
Mhm.
better way. Like take a little bit more of a breath at times, just to take stock a bit more. Like I think by putting in time to plan from a business perspective, or time to plan my week, whether that be looking forward or like looking forward to what's coming down from a personal and social side of things. I think it's just that composure that and then at the same time as me being composed internally, it's communicating that to everyone around me. So my wife, my team in particular as well, like just being clear with them. Like I've always manifested quite a lot internally. It's just being more explicit about how I say that. So yeah, composed how I feel. So trying to be calmer and that side of things, and more organized. But yeah, and generally like being more explicit with my communication and clearer with my communication. And with that, not trying to please everyone. Like
Mm.
we've talked a lot about that. My natural instinct is a people pleaser. And you very, very much say I'm a recovering people pleaser. So that you never will completely be, but it's challenging yourself. What is right here? Why you're doing it to your own detriment rather than trying to do something? Is it really worth what you're trying to please here, rather than looking at yourself or the things that really matter to you, which are very close family and your team and growing a business and yourself ultimately.
And like that narrative or that story about people is so common, right? With so many people.
Yeah,
But I think like what you were really great at is like recognizing that you change that through your own deliberate actions, right? Like you become conscious of the things that you don't want to do anymore or don't align to your goals, and therefore you
yeah,
don't do them, right? And it's
yeah,
not about being rude
yeah,
or being selfish. Like it's just that's what you've decided. Those are your
yeah,
choices, and
yeah.
that's not important to you anymore. So actually, by taking those actions, then you become not that people pleaser, right?
Yeah, no, completely. I think we had our like slightly longer session in person. We it was very helpful. The exercise where we did, you coined it, where you were like, we're going to define what are drains and what are energizers for you as a person. We sat down and not necessarily Venn diagram, but spider diagram, roughly did it in a notepad, and we sat down and chatted it through. And that really, because minimize some of those drain aspects will be just situational. They'll be time bound by a certain thing that's going on in my life at this point. Some of the things that I need to address, or some of them just need to be off the chart. And then we need to focus on how we can get more of the energizing aspects to be bigger parts or focus parts of my general just day to day, week to week, month to month. And that was a really, I love an analogy. So that's a part of one of the good things that like, I know you do too. So it's like those sorts of things stick in my mind when you're in a really busy period. Like, I shouldn't be doing that because that is draining my energy, my emotions, and it's just going to be to the detriment of everything that's important to me. Yeah, I think that's yeah, a very long winded answer, but yeah, I completely agree.
It's like cutting the fat, right? It's like constantly optimizing. It's like we
Yeah,
can look at your work or your life, and what we did with you is, yeah, those drains and energizers, get more of the
yeah,
energizers in, but cutting the fat of the drainers because ultimately it's giving you proper time back for you
Yeah.
to spend on the things that actually drive your business forward, right? Or the
Mm.
things like spending time with Finn or taking Frank for a walk or going date nights with Kate, the
Yeah.
stuff that's
Yeah.
actually important to you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, that was a really important conversation, definitely.
Mm. I think I probably would say that it's what else has helped me is it's having that accountability partner. And I can't think of a better, more smoother phrase. Accountability sounds a bit too corporate for me, but it's that someone, that sounding board. It's that who you've got whether it's a check-in or whether it's someone over WhatsApp, which I'm rubbish at responding to. I know that, but it's generally just you've got someone that are going to ask you about that. So either you need to have, I need those someone poking me along. I know I need it from a business perspective. I know I need just generally, it's how I've worked when I was playing hockey or when I was playing. Like I need that gentle nudge to get me, and that kind of helps me move towards. I you relatively clear on where I want to get to. Sometimes it's just that path it needs is quite winding. You just need someone just to gently coax you along and hold you to account is really important for me. Like it usually allows me to get to places I want to get to, whether it be business or life or development. So I think that's been really important. And then the other part is that impartial space. There's been times where I've literally just gone, Steve, I really need just to blurt this out. And I appreciate you're not a counselor or anything like that. But sometimes it's just I need to just get something off my chest in an impartial environment with no like holes barred, with no one's opinion or anything, and just dump and then for us to talk through where that's come from and how I can better handle that particular situation or how I can think about things in a mindset shift on that, because I'm probably seeing it from a really blinkers on view, head down environment. I think those kind of that accountability and that impartial environment, just to safe space to go, what we're going to talk about today. Probably what I could have done better is thinking at the start what I wanted to achieve. Like probably more maybe because it's my first kind of proper like kind of personal coaching. I've had business coaches before. I've done some therapy and counselling before, but I probably could have been clearer in terms of my work at the start, in terms of what I really wanted to work on to get the most out of it. But generally, I think over our first couple of sessions, you really helped me start to see what you needed from me to really add value to me is clarity on where I wanted to get to. And I think that's, yeah, I know I could have done that better from the work at the start and those sorts of things. So yeah, those probably 3 extra points there if they're helpful in terms of, from my side. But all round, I've loved the process. I found it tricky at times. I found it exciting at times. And I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed working with you. I think finding a coach that you gel with is the most important part from the outset. Similar in my world, finding an advisor, a client relationship, that gel is really important. So you need to like someone, you need to get on with someone, but they also need to be able to tell you frankly, shut up, or you're talking crap, or whatever. You need to be able to have that relationship. And I think that's where you and I have worked really well together.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks. And I think you probably go a bit easier yourself on the being clear with the goals, because sometimes I think like what we find anyway, and what I find in my coaching as well, is almost you have to take the action and then the clarity comes. So you've got a general direction of where you want to go, but actually by talking it out, or those first couple of sessions that I have with people normally are a bit of a going all over the shop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mine had that as well. And then you start to narrow down and you start to see what the next step is. But if you don't take that first step of
Yeah.
going all over the shop, then it's really difficult to do that, right?
Yeah. True. Like a brainstorming a session. Yeah. Brain
Exactly.
dumping. Yeah.
Exactly. And vice versa. I've loved working with you. And like, as I said to you in our sessions, I've huge respect for the amount of deliberate action you took in the periods that we're working, because nothing
Yeah.
changes, right, without you actually doing things after the
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't. And in such a challenging time with such young such a young kid and the
Mm.
pressures of a business and everything that was going on in your business at the time that was completely
Mm.
out of your control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a very difficult period.
Mm.
And yet you showed up, and yet you went away and took the action, and yet it was tricky at times, but you kept pushing forward. So I have huge respect for that. So well done, mate.
Thank you very much. We massively appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, no worries. All right, I'll let you go and get some lunch, but thanks for that, mate, and I'll
No.
chat soon. Cheers, Luke.